Put your hands on this, come on. Clap your hands in here, come on. If you believe God, make some noise in here, come on. If you believe it, make some noise in here. Oh yes, I believe what he says about me. Hallelujah. Here we go, listen. God said it, I believe it. If he said it, he will do it. God said, I believe it. If he said it.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, it's me, Jermaine. To him who loved us and saved us by the power of his blood, made us to be a kingdom of priests serving his God and Father, to Christ be glory, dominion, and power both now and forever. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? These words are the final words to which Christ speaks before he ends his life. Why is this so important? Why is this so pivotal? It's because everyone in his or her life will experience what it means to suffer alone. And in those moments, you will say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? I have learned in all of my 37 years of life that there is no such thing as an ideal life. No such thing as a perfect life, perfect in the sense of a fairy tale. Yet many have succumbed to the simplistic, simple faith that if you do good, then good things shall come unto thee. A superficial faith that promotes happiness and wellness, health and wealth and prosperity. But having read the good book, and I'm talking about the Bible, there is no such thing as non-suffering. The Israelites suffered 40 years after leaving Egypt. Even in Egypt, before that, they were enslaved to the Egyptians. They had to go through difficulty and trials in order to secure the promised land. And even with the promised land came another set of difficulties. Why do I uplift that experience? Because God is not your Santa. What good then is faith if there's no trial to shape it? You see, Yeshua's crucifixion story saved millions of people due to his sacrifice on the cross for the sins of the world. But now is the time of your story, right? The question then is asked, would you rather live for yourself and die, or would you rather die and live and your life causes many to live? I'm sure you would rather take the latter. I can imagine that George Floyd could not have imagined being killed by a racist cop bent on taking his life with a chokehold. Now, look, as a result of what happened to this man, there became a ban of police chokeholds. Police were prosecuted. Officers were fired. And out of his death came multiracial demonstrations and serious police reform. Yes, he suffered. Yes, he was beaten. But guess what? Out of his suffering and out of his death resulted in a better opportunity for African Americans, you and I, brothers and sisters, to live again from a police encounter, to survive a police encounter. Now, I could imagine that as Yeshua was suffering on that cross, that God himself did not want to see his child suffer. I am sure that was an agonizing process to see his own son bludgeoned, beaten, wounded, rejected, and humiliated. Yet it was granted by God. Why? Because his death brought everyone to salvation. He saved all from eternal damnation. You could do everything considerably right. You could even be termed righteous and yet suffer, such as Christ's story. Was this not evident also with brother Job, who said, though he slay me, yet will I trust in him? Job lost everything. He lost his family, he lost his health, he's lost riches, and he has lost friends. But Job, remember, the devil indicated that Job only has a relationship with God because Job has everything. Satan said, if you take all of what Job has, then this man will forsake you. God is not oblivious to your situation. He knows exactly what you're going through. But most of all, like Brother Job, he has a plan, and I know he shall restore you. And I know that this plan is not what you thought it would be, right? It is not what you envisioned for your own life or how you even thought that your own life would turn out. But there is an expected end, a good end to this misery that you're suffering, my friends, my brothers, my sisters. Yeshua asked God again, why hast thou forsaken me? But the truth of the matter is, God has never forsaken Yeshua, and neither has he forsaken you. Throughout the whole crucifixion process, God has always been there. When you don't feel God or you don't see God moving, when the front of your eyes, all that you can see is problems, these problems are ever before you. They do choke the life out of hope, light, and faith. But you can get through this. You know, I'm a long distance runner. I run pretty much every day, running full speed ahead to clinch to the end of the race. Sometimes it's tiring and sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes you don't feel like running. And sometimes you get even downright exhausted wanting to throw in the towel. But once the race comes to a completion or near closure, do you know what I do? I run full sprint ahead. I give it everything that I got, all life, every oxygen, everything that's in me, and I clinch the end. This is no better time than for you in your last lap to finish strong. You're at the end of the race. So don't give up. Run full force. You know, this past week I applied for a position in Boston, and the position seemed so perfect in every way. It seemed to match exactly the responsibilities and the role that I had with my previous employer. I remember speaking to the recruiter and just praising God because I just knew, I was like, wow, God, here it is that you have provided for me a job matching exactly what I used to do, or closely to what I used to do in my previous employment. I thought to myself, God surely provides. He has provided me with this position, and pay is far greater than I would ever could imagine or ask or think or ever in my history. Unfortunately, the position didn't come through, and I was left disappointed. I was left in tears a little bit and then discouraged. But what I had to realize, my friends, my brothers, and my sisters, is that, was I really ready to move out to Boston? Is Boston really the home for me? Yes, the money was good. Yes, the position also was good. But after being in Atlanta by myself for 13 years, I had made a decision to leave Atlanta, to come back home, to be in California, closer to my family and closer to my friends in the state that I love, the state that I was birthed in. On top of all of this, with this position in Boston, it wasn't even a permanent position. It was merely contractual. See, there is a better yes somewhere. And this is what ultimately I had to realize in my disappointment, that this was close. It was a close call, but it wasn't the call. There is a position that's here and that's located here in this state of California, a position that is far even better than that close one that I almost got, one that is even better pay, a position that is both permanent, a position that doesn't require me to, a position that is stable, reputable, with huge opportunities and growth. This position In Boston, was it close? Yes. But you know what? I had to speak to myself that yes is even closer than before. God is on the verge of bringing me my yes opportunity. And he's on the verge of bringing you yours. Has God forsaken us? Has he forsaken me? No, not at all. All along the way, God is using time to help us to remember that faith comes with diligence and patience, and that there is a better opportunity. There is a better way, and there is a better door. All along the way, he has provided graciously. All along the way, he's provided me with food, with shelter, with clothes and water, electricity, cable. I have funds in my account, internet, and more. It is imperative, ladies and gentlemen, that you stand assured with the promises of God, especially during this season of Corona. As things get worse, your faith ought to get better. Your prayer life ought to get better. Your serving ought to get better. Keep praising God. Keep worshiping God. Keep believing on God. Keep fasting for God. Keep knocking. Keep asking. Keep searching. Keep doing what it is that Christ purposed in you to do. This helps to bring in and magnetize the great promise that God has for you. Not just promise, promises. And they're on the horizon, ladies and gentlemen. But it's important for you not to doubt, not to fear, but to stand firm within your faith. Like a tree planted by the rivers of water shall not be moved. You need to be that tree, ladies and gentlemen. Could no suffering, could no pain, no death or rejection, abandonment affect you, nor could it affect Christ. And you know what? At the end of Christ's crucifixion and his death, he is now the reigning king. He is crowned Lord of Lords. He'll never suffer again. Get through this. You'll never suffer again. You're on the horizon. Take hold of the promises of God. For the promises of God are yea and amen. God bless you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you on next week.